Hello fellow space engineers, GopeScope here from the GopeScope gaming channel, and I'm happy to welcome you to another episode in our Let's Build a Battlefleet series. Today we're going to revisit the first ship that we built in this series, and take a look at the latest incarnation of that ship. The Enceladus Alpha. I took what I've learned since building the original Enceladus a few months ago, as well as the constructive criticisms and feedback I've received on the ship, and put together this new frigate, with the aim of making it faster and more agile, while maintaining firepower and as much survivability as possible. So let's get right into comparing the specs of these two vessels so you can get a look at the hard number differences between them. At 2,286,355 kilograms, the Enceladus Alpha is 43% the mass of the original Enceladus. Where the Enceladus had two large reactors located adjacent to each other, the Alpha has 35 small reactors distributed throughout the ship, providing for an exceptionally robust power system. The Alpha's thrusters generate a force of 10.5 million newtons forward, 1 million newtons port and starboard, 3.4 million newtons retro, and 1 million newtons vertical. This translates into an improvement in the newton to kilogram ratio from the original Enceladus to the new of 204% improved forward, 47% improved port and starboard, 119% improved retro, and 16% improved vertical. The original Enceladus could go from 0 to 20 meters per second in 13.8 seconds. The Alpha can do that in 4.5 seconds. The Enceladus had a kilogram to gyro ratio of 165,132. The Alpha's ratio is 142,897, which is 13.5% improved. The Alpha maintains the same number of Gatling turrets, missile turrets, and large ship rocket launchers as the original Enceladus, but each is now also supported with a weapon repair welder, allowing for a considerable improvement in each weapon's combat operational longevity. Let's take a quick tour of the inside of the vessel. We'll start by entering through the port side airlock hatch. There is a starboard side airlock hatch as well that is identical to this on the opposite side. And as we enter in, you'll notice there is an LCD panel that has a warning display indicator. There is also a sound block that sounds an enemy alert if there is an enemy detected. In this case, I am set as not owning this ship, so this is something that's tripped. And you can change the door settings, of course, to allow only owners or friendlies to enter, which is probably a wise thing to do. So this system basically just notifies you inside the ship in a visual and auditory kind of way that there's an enemy either in very close proximity to the hull or inside the vessel. You can see above me there was a anti-personnel turret. Here we've got a couple storage lockers and a couple of beds. And as we move forward here, we get to the sort of observation deck slash flying bridge, which is kind of a nice view of the out front of the ship. You can fly it from here and everything, but this is not the most protected position, obviously. So as we come back down that same corridor and head down, we're going to be heading into sort of the rear of the vessel where it's far more protected. There's more heavy armor back here. You can see we have a gravity generator there as well. There's the AP turret. And as we go through this door, on the left we have sort of the engineering bay with some of the engine systems. The lights and the LCD panel there are indicating that all of the reactors are on, the systems are on, and this button turns everything off, and it goes to a couple of battery backup power units, but basically shuts off all essential systems. And there's a second button on there that is tied to the light systems. And of course there's a couple other buttons there that you can program to do whatever you would like to do. And as we turn around, we're heading into the bridge and medbay area. So this is one of the more protected parts of the ship for obvious reasons. There's another LCD panel that is displaying the same kind of warning as the one in the front. So whether you're just respawning at your medbay or commanding the ship or walking around in here, it's very obvious if there's a threat nearby, even if they're not making, shooting or grinding or making noises. you should be aware. And here's the main cockpit, and you can see you can kind of get a view from relative safety if there's someone in the front end of the ship here. Now that you're familiar with the Enceladus Alpha, I'd like to show some footage of a battle between the Enceladus Alpha and the Enceladus. We had a couple of rounds between myself and Zeratul, who was nice enough to come on and pilot these ships against me. So we had one round where I was in the original Enceladus and he in the Alpha, and then a second round where that was reversed. So what we're seeing now is me piloting the original Enceladus against him in the Alpha. And we're looking out one of the prow weapon battery cameras, and I am doing my best to try to hit this far more agile ship. And he's coming in for an attack very, very smartly. He is not coming straight in. He's making kind of an oblique attack, sort of drifting past me while he fires. And at this point I'm trying as hard as I can to track him, and it's extremely difficult. You can see there's a huge amount of rockets flying, and there's clearly quite a bit hitting my ship. You can see we're on fire at the prow. I've already lost a couple of rocket launchers. Things are looking grim, and I don't think I've had much effect on his ship at this point. So we still have my turrets in play, but you can see there's already pieces flying off the front of the ship after that one pass, and his ship appears to be scarcely affected at all. We're down to just one prow-mounted rocket battery now, and you can see the two rocket turrets still firing on occasion along with the Gatling turrets. And he's coming back for another pass, and this whole time I'm trying as hard as I possibly can to turn fast enough to lead him. You can see I'm landing a few hits here, but to little effect. He's still got a tremendous amount of rockets coming in at me, and you can see more strikes there with that the sparks flying and everything like that. And now I have lost my last remaining prow-mounted rocket turret. So now I am down to just a rocket battery, rather. So now I'm down to just the turrets alone. And here he's coming in for another pass. You can kind of get a clear picture here of just how much more maneuverable and how much faster the Alpha is. Neither of us have lost any engines or really any gyroscopes, basically just weapons. And at this point, I feel like I'm trying to move a barge around, trying to track like a speedboat. It's kind of what it feels like. So my turrets are pretty much the only thing that's fast enough to track his ship at this point, and of course he has turrets himself, so those rockets get shot down for the most part. And where I do land hits, the Enceladus Alpha has a projector that's projecting the blueprint of the ship itself on itself and those weapon repair welders, so they're continuously repairing and rebuilding turrets that are destroyed or damaged, as well as armor blocks that are around the welders themselves, which essentially means that if I'm actually landing hits and destroying something, if he uses his agility to get a little ways away and out of range before long, unless I've actually destroyed the welders themselves, which I was not really able to in this fight, they will just rebuild. So they won't stop. So now we had the reverse sort of situation where I'm flying the Alpha and he's flying the Enceladus. And I was not quite as smart as him. Zeratul is a better pilot than I am. I sort of flew straight in. Got way too close to the original Enceladus. What I liked about this, though, in retrospect, is it shows how important the welders are. Even though I'm not playing to the advantage of this ship, which is that I should be able to outmaneuver and perhaps not get hit, in spite of the fact that I am actually kind of going straight in at this ship and getting hit. We both have, remember, the same weapon systems, essentially. Slightly different configuration, but same. See, he's just hammering the bottom of this ship. I'm losing a couple of engines, but still very much an intact vessel. I still have my turrets. I still have all of these forward rockets that are able to unleash quite a barrage against his ship. And as he's starting to damage some of those, remember they're being repaired right away. So you can see there's quite an exchange of fire here, nose to nose. And again, this is not ideal. The Enceladus Alpha shouldn't be nose to nose like this, but and now you can see I got even closer than I had ever intended to, and I'm about to get rammed by the Enceladus. And I just can't get away at this point. Something to note also, the welding in this game has a significant negative impact on frame rates, which is something I'm hoping they fix, because I like the idea of having some auto repair functionality, and the way that it is now, you can see there's some frame rate issues, especially when you get a lot of rockets flying, welders running, projectors projecting and ships colliding, it gets a little hairy on the frames per second. And I want to thank Zeratul again for coming on and duking it out with me. This ship will be available on the Steam Workshop in the GSG Let's Build a Battlefleet collection. If you enjoyed this video and you'd like to see more, please hit those like and subscribe buttons. Thank you for watching, and stay tuned for more.